Hey everybody, it's Torrance with SwordGuyBuilds.com. So I had been making nylon whips for a few years before I got into kangaroo leather. And of course, when I started working kangaroo, I sucked. Over time, of course, things got a little bit easier as my hands started figuring out what was going on. But sometimes I still feel like it's luck when my stuff comes out looking very nice. So I started thinking, how could I make it so that every part of the finished whip was representative of my own skill? My first thought was, what if I make a whip using only my knife? But then I realized certain things would be prohibitively difficult, like setting up my braided strands without using my hooks or my slings. And other things would need to happen the same way, like I would still need to use nails or staples in the heel foundation. So I scrapped that idea because even though it would be an interesting project, it just wouldn't be a whip that I wanted to make. But then I realized, even if I'm still using some tools, I don't necessarily need to use the ones that help me shape or taper the whip. And so here is a whip made entirely freehand from start to finish. Ordinarily, I'll cut my bolsters off of my cowhide with a straight edge, and that helps me achieve a greater level of uniformity from whip to whip. But for this one, I cut my core and bolsters very rough off the hide and then trim them up by eye. The hardest part was tapering my belly and overlay strands without using my bayless gauge, which is this little block of wood that I use to keep my knife steady. So the tapering steps took a little bit longer than they normally would because I just had to come through multiple times and just shave off a little bit at a time. What I ended up doing was using my little leather finger guard that I used for the beveling step for the resizing steps. By the end of the project, I was pretty much able to use it just like the bayless gauge. The final restriction I gave myself was to do the entire project without using any measuring devices. So all of my lengths were measured against my own body in little ways. I didn't use my caliper to help me size my overlay strands. I kind of just had to make a guess and hope that I was very close. The finished product is a 12-plait bullwhip in saddle tan with natural tan knots. My goal was to make a 7-foot whip, and I came out to 6 foot 9 inches, so I'm definitely still counting that as a victory. I did my usual braiding for the falchion model, which is diamonds in the handle to short herringbone in the transition area to herringbone for the rest of the thong. I do have to admit I messed up on my restrictions one time. I accidentally used my measuring stick to space my braiding changes. I basically just wanted to make sure that the knot was exactly where I wanted it. I actually didn't even realize that I did that until I was already like down into the whip and I was like, oh wait, I wasn't supposed to do that. I did have some strand length issues that did lose me a little bit of mass, but I was able to continue the taper pretty smooth, and this whip came out mean. It feels so nice. My last thought is this: I would like to extend a prompt to anybody who wants to be a part of it. Show me a whip that was made entirely freehand. Tell me the struggles you had with the whip. Tell me what you learned from the whip. Post pictures, post video, tag me. I would love to see what you come up with. You can see the full process of making this whip on the Sword Guy Builds TikTok. Thank you all very much for watching and for your continued support. I appreciate you very much. Stay safe, and I'll talk to you very soon. Bye.